everyone! Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's TRI's Top 100 Crypto Review. TRI Crypto Countdown. TRI, we'll talk some shitcoins. What the hell? And if anything, the past week or so, I think we've all just been reminded of what good quality investment product these things are. So welcome to the crypto show. Hopefully this is a bit of a lighthearted look at the market. In that, we had TRI probably are more. Well, I can't speak that for the audience. Some of our audience and some of our participants are super over the top smart crypto people. But an old gnarly guy like me, it's just more of this is another asset in the universe to trade. So let's go have some fun, take a look at this space and how do the behavior of these assets and price action and all that kind of fun stuff. So it doesn't really matter to a guy like me whether this is broiler chickens, cryptocurrencies, live hogs, TSE futures contracts, Canadian dollars, US dollars, doesn't really make a difference. It's just price action. And to do well at sort of quote unquote trading these products is really more about your psychology as an individual. Can you handle the pressure of managing money and managing financial decisions? And what are some of the sort of cheats, the hacks, if you will, that I've learned over the years to just try and help you guys make this process a little bit easier. In fact, the irony of it all is that it's not rocket science what we do as professional traders. In fact, we like to call it the process, where really that's all we're doing is just following a set sort of guideline of general rules and principles to enable you to come back and play the game day in, day out, and more have fun with trading than take it as seriously as most of the world takes it, which is kind of ironic. If you know the rules and you know how to play the game, you can actually have fun at capitalism. But unfortunately, sometimes the rules say that, hey, you know what? You're probably best just to leave everything alone, sit there with a big pile of cash and just wait for things to settle down and start the game all over again. And unfortunately, I think that's one of the environments that we're in is now. And in a weird sort of way, actually, I get a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more relaxed once I see that the market is broken, once I see the bubble is popped, because then it's sort of like as the bubble is inflating, I can't buy anything and I can't do anything. And of course, you got people out in the world going, it doesn't matter. Just buy and you'll make tons of money. And I sit there and go, this is a trap. You're all asking for trouble. And they get like massive followings and they become hugely wealthy off of referral links and subscriptions to newsletters and stuff. And I have to sit there and just go, you're asking for trouble. Shut up, Brian. You're boring. All right, so how do we liven this up? My special co-host tonight, and we'll introduce him slightly, is he got to bring more of those pistols into the show. So to start off, mind you, this isn't the broiler chicken, so we're not Wild West, but pew 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 pew. That's what we'll do here tonight.
Those could be lasers, Jedi lasers.
The Jedi lasers. All right, there you go. So you just heard we have a special guest tonight. Our regular crew from a year ago, and it is a really interesting tell that they're relatively new to this space, so it doesn't surprise me that they slowly faded away over time. Love for you guys to have some stamina. I don't want to see all of you back here, but our remaining original co-host, Ben, bowed out this evening. Hopefully it's just a short-term bow out, and we'll see him back next week. I have our latest addition to the team, the commentary team here, in earnest. Paul with us. He just woke up though. He's over in Romania, so it's pretty early in the morning for him. But how you doing, Paul? Are you with us?
Yep, 100%.
There he is. Right on. Cool. So we'll get some input from Paul. I bet you we'll have some interesting stories from him. about trading Bitcoin and Ethereum and stuff over the past week or so since we last chatted. And we have a special guest tonight. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully we hear more from him. Of course, I always like to hear from our good buddy, the Joshua McGowan, Shark Toshi himself. Our level 1 TA. Josh, coming from Southern California. How you doing this morning, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Normally I watch these from the jacuzzi while I'm having some frosty Modelo's. So I'd like to thank all of the newly minted BTC maximalists after last week's shenanigans. So welcome.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. I mean, like, if you've been in this space for a while, it's kind of funny how we sort of drift back and forth, back and forth.
It's like the sloshes back and forth little gift that we show in level 1, right?
Yeah, I guess. And by the way, anybody who's listening,
BTC maximalist. Shitcoin 5000, BTC maximalist.
Shark Toshi is the TA for sort of the head TA for the level 1 program. So if you are thinking about participating in TRI's education program, you're going to get to know Sharky very well. So I suppose we, I don't know where we do shameless plugs for the site, but I suppose we'll just make a quick reference. Just so like the marketing department has specifically asked me, Brian, just mention it once or twice when you do these.
Yeah, because we're starting next week, right?
Yeah, so we actually have the school registration window actually open. We only open up the registration 3 times a year for like a 1 week. So if you are interested, now is actually the time when you got to step up. And of course, a lot of people join the sort of reservation list, and actually those people, David, I think sends them the daily briefs, which aren't so brief these days. But David sends a nice little sort of letter to those people through the week. So, and if anything, great opportunity for you to maybe even consider joining the site. Some of our products that we have, I think, are really, really helpful in the marketplace to help sort of, frame expectations and, when you're working with your trading plan, tools that sort of support your decision-making process. I really like that about these breadth indicators and the signaling systems.
Shamelessly plug week 5 risk management in level 1.
Yeah, well,
it's adhered to last week would have been a nothing burger.
Yeah, I don't know how I can speak to that here. What I did want to do actually was just for posterity. I was trying to work my way over to this, but I don't know whether I have it on here. One of our original site members, and actually I still talk to him on Twitter every now and then. He actually put this GIF together for us to really describe how the economy works and how the market flows. And in a weird sort of way, this actually, I don't know, Sharky, can you see my screen? I don't know whether, what am I showing?
Yeah, that's the one. That is it.
So this is, you could argue this is Sharky's Bitcoin maximalist lava lamp. So back right now, everybody's flowing the hell out of poop coins. Got to get into Bitcoin for the next year or so.
There's Nova Gratz getting his tattoo.
Yeah.
And it's gone.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what's going to happen with that guy. And what's fascinating is you can already, I can already start to see, and I hate this about this space, but you can already start to see the I told you so things. I hate that about these guys. The egos are so steep in this business, eh? Wow.
I thought crypto had an ethos. That's why we're all here, right? Apparently not.
Yeah, big egos. And in a weird sort of way, I guess what I've learned over the past 8 years, and this is the Claval books that I always started the education program with them, and I can't believe how that gentleman really had humanity nailed. But it just reminds me of the old expression: the more things change, the more they stay exactly the same. And in a weird sort of way, I made reference to this that I might argue that the venture capital part of the cryptocurrency space is identical to the venture capital part of the stock market. I mean, they're basically cut from the same cloth. Obviously, the technology, and this is the tragedy of the people that actually purely believe in the technology, is that they believe wholeheartedly in this. But the damn capitalists can come along and undermine them so quickly and so violently. Drives you crazy.
Yep.
But anyway, as you can hear, we've got Sharky on the call here tonight. He's about one of the only one on the site that can actually reel me in conversation-wise. So you can hear him coming in. We got to train Paul. Paul's got to be a little more vocal. Brian, shut the fuck up.
No, I'm not going to try to reel you in. I'm going to try to wind you up and let you go.
Well, as he said earlier, what he wants is he wants some juicy rants.
Right. Those are my favorite. So we got to get the content for the Josh Morris and the marketing team. We need more clips.
All right. And actually, Josh, it's interesting how many Joshes we have on the site, eh? But anyway, Josh Morris actually is sort of now the official TRI talking head. And I love the work that Josh really does. And actually, look at this latest one. This is so cool. He's literally just basically step by step laying out how to use the website and how to use the signaling system to kill the market. This is one of my favorite signals that I learned a million years ago from an old gnarly pit trader guys. Jack Zion, the key reversal, and I think this is a weekly key reversal too. Might just be a daily one, I'm not sure. But there is the signal there off of the system. And it's interesting because who got absolutely decimated today in the marketplace? The retail part of our economy, things like Walmart, Home Depot, Kroger. I mean, these guys just got absolutely destroyed. Now, you have to ask yourself, did somebody on the inside know something really nasty was about to come down the pike here?
Nancy Pelosi.
No, this is where the TA really
I'm just teasing.
Hey, what's up? Sorry?
I was trying to throw in a Nancy Pelosi trades joke there, but it got missed.
Oh, okay. Nancy Pelosi. She's your representative, isn't she? She's from the great state of California.
Yeah, there's a funny Twitter account that follows out her insider trades, and if you're looking for an edge, there's a butterfly right there.
Was she shorting Kroger? Was she shorting?
Yeah, I'm sure she was.
How ironic. Well, and that's also the interesting thing too, is that I think on balance, I mean, here's the market for you, eh? What do you think? Is that a bit of a bull market or a bear market? That's ugly, man. Ugly. Amazon down 7%, Apple down 5.5%, Microsoft down almost 5%.
Yeah, it's not easy mode.
What do you actually? And this would be a good question because Josh kind of knew me before this happened. And now he's seen it happen. What do you think? Are you a believer in these Jupiter-Saturn cross transitions now?
You know what? The first day I showed up here in 2017, you posted that Saturn's North Pole, and I was like, that's pretty fucking weird. But I just kept it in the back of the mind, and I didn't believe it at first, but the more that you just keep seeing it, it's like, there's something. I don't know what it is, but it's crazy.
So
I definitely respect JP Morgan's, the whole billionaires respect astrology thing. That is for damn sure.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting. I mean, you see, this is the after effect, but it was fascinating, and I don't think enough people really respect this, which kind of sucks. I mean, it just is the market. But, to understand why these stocks can get hit so hard up here, so you got to understand where they've come from. And where was that Apple chart? I mean, it's quite shocking how far Apple has actually come. I mean, there's that's a monthly price chart. Ay caramba.
Nice. I've got a few puts on
No,
that.
that's anything but nice.
Reverse. Like I said, I've got a few puts on that bad boy. So yes.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. All right. Well, anyway, so
Down
to
there.
understand how a stock like this can fall, 5% in one day, I mean, gee whiz. I mean, this is all open air down here, folks. Oh, yeah. And I think, honestly, I remember Apple basically did this. Apple was the darling of the market back in the 70s. And into the early 80s. And then, of course, it went its funny corporate route. I guess following 1984, I suppose that's when its peak was with the Macintosh. And then it just went into like a 10, 15-year death spiral. And ironically enough, I remember Dr. Hans Bloch. He was loading up on Apple back in the mid 90s at like $5, $10 a share, eh? I think he did pretty well. You never hear from him anymore. He's the Anunnaki have relocated him to the other planet. Anyway.
Sure.
So the point of the matter here is, holy crap, a long way to go down there. So, and the interesting thing is that I think you could actually make the argument. Actually, I was going to work on this 4-year cycle chart, but this is the cycle. I think that there's a hell of a lot of similarities between this 14-15 cycle and what we're going through now. And unfortunately, you can see, this was a May peak. Look at the last 6 months of this year. It's, it's going to be tough, folks. So, I don't know what the hell this is going to look like. I was kind of hoping we'd get a little bit of a counter-trend rally. And I remember about a week or two ago, just before all of this hell broke loose, we were coming up against all these lows. And, actually the group here, we were all kind of like, all right, now we should see a bit of a rally. And it's just been no mercy here at all. It's a little bit scary. So, where do we want to go? Why don't we... Ben's not here, so... I don't know. Of course, there's my birthday. Wow, what a wonderful gift. Thank you very much, Brian. Jeez, isn't that brutal?
Yeah. Short Bitcoin on Brian's birthday. Make money 9 out of the 10 last year.
Yeah, boy. So I guess I'll do this here tonight. I don't think Ben would have done this last week, and I don't think Paul has been around long enough to really see how I do this. But let's see what we got here. So it's the 18th today. Oops. Oh, what the hell happened there? Let's try that again. Oh, not that one. That button. Let's try that again. 05. 1822. All right, so we were 29.9. I'm not actually sure. Does anybody, Paul, do you know which market these guys did this off of? I don't know if there was Stamp or what. Let's see, maybe this will say. This says Stamp, so I guess we'll go off of Stamp.
Yeah, a bit Stamp, I guess.
Yeah? So, I wonder when we're supposed to do this too. So, Sharky, you're seeing us sort of without the 3 cohorts that it used to run this spreadsheet. Now I'm kind of like a chicken without a head here. I don't know where the hell to do this. I guess we'll just do a new chart here. More charts! More charts! Yay! Okay. BTC, USD. And on Stamp.
And then do we do the same drinking game about the if you lose your track of your tab as we did the BCS?
If you if I say what?
For the audience, if you lose your tab.
Oh,
on the BCS.
You're funny how you pick up on those things. Okay, so I wonder what the hell price we're supposed to use here. I can't remember how these guys do this. That's too bad. What do you think, Paul? You were here last week. How does Ben do this? When do we take the price? I suppose we could figure out when 29.9 was traded to last week.
Yeah, it says at show start.
Oh, at show start. So it is 6:22. I guess we're supposed to start at 6 o'clock, eh? So let's go, I guess, right there. Hourly? What the hell? Okay, so what does that say? 28,889. Now we'll just round it off.
And then if you want to cross-check it with last week, it was 29,900 is what they have here.
Oh boy! So that means we were down basically what, $1,011. Does that sound about right?
I think so.
$1,011. What do you think, Paul? Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
All right, and so off at 29.9. It's not a hell of a lot of money. Where are we here? Calc. That comes out to a big percentage of 29. How does that work? Do I do it off of today's number or that number? Oh well, I'll do it off of that number. 29,900 divided by $1,011 comes out to well, that's kind of weird. That can't be right. Divided by?
Here, I can. I'll click this cell and I'll drag it down. It's got a formula there. See if it just automatically does it for you. So
minus 100%. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Drop in the F 51 cell there.
50.
This isn't a Luna chart, right?
Okay. So you have to put the closing number in here, right?
Yeah, and then the
okay.
the percentage
isn't
there
this fun? We're figuring out as we go.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what happens. Survey says, hey, there you go. Minus 3.4%.
There you go.
That sound about right?
Beautiful.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
Actually, look at that. They even have it color-coded. Way to go, Nick and Ben and Derek.
Beautiful.
They're all so smart. Okay, so once again, looks like Brian's wrong again. Gee whiz, look at this. And this is, you know what this is? I think this is like, I really don't want to see the market slide. So look how belligerent. Well, no, that's not the right word. Stubbornly bullish. I'm trying to be here. You see that? Really fighting against the trend here. Isn't that fascinating? So Brian's wrong again. Way to go, Brian.
Good contrarian indicator.
Yeah, if anything, it's not bad. And then when eventually throw in the towel and go, okay, fine, bear. Then the goddamn thing rallies, right? Murphy's Law.
Right.
How frustrating. That's okay, let's see how the rest of our crew did here. Ben, I don't even think showed up. Derek is gone. There's Ben. Ben, did he have a -1 last week, or was that? I guess. Well, looks like Ben nailed it. Way to go, Ben.
Yeah.
Hey,
-1, Ben.
Yeah.
I was +1.
I think Ben's could get a job in the crystal ball reading business. Looks like he's doing good. And then this is Paul. Paul, you and I, man, we're not. We're gonna get our crystal ball license taken away from us here.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, jeez. Well, if anything, great analogy. Paul is a killer setup trader. And I've seen him be in a couple trades where I'm like, oh, I don't know. And he's like, man, setup. And then, boom, it runs to his target.
Yeah, but crystal ball is broken from me.
Yeah, mine's still in the shop.
Yeah. Well, Ben, interesting. Maybe Ben saw that he was going to be right, and he's kind of like, I don't like to gloat. I don't like to boast, and these guys really suck, so I'm just going to bow out tonight and let them.
Yeah, he's pretty humble.
Crap. Yeah, he's a humble guy. I like that about him. I like humble people. I like, which is kind of ironic because I'm a big loudmouth, but anyway. All right, so there you go. Don't go into the prediction business. You'll get your ass kicked. But it is kind of funny to see how completely wrong I've been recently. Wow, that's eye-opening. But that's anyway, funny. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Am I doing myself any favors as a professional newsletter writer? With this horrific performance? I don't know. If anything, what I like to do is I just like to demonstrate best practices. So this would be stopped out. Merry Christmas. Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, when you do 2-to-1s, what's the percentage? Everybody in the YouTube comments.
I don't even think I'm giving that though. I'm like 100% wrong. I'm in the
That's
100%
100%
wrong
wrong.
business. Well,
That's funny.
no percents in beating up on yourself.
Right.
If anything, what this tells me is I gotta cool my jets. Slow down. All right.
There we go. Ice
And
those
if,
jets.
yeah. All right. So having said that, I don't know where we want to go with this. I mean, do we want to just keep forging on through all our names here? Do we want to take viewer requests? Do we want to look at the corn? I don't know. I mean, of course, now the panel is kind of rolled over here. What would you want to do tonight, Paul? What do you think's our best course of action?
First, look at Bitcoin.
All right.
See what.
Oh, another BTC maximalist in the house.
All right. So what do you? It's not a bad idea to start off at the top. Of course, zoom out 64,000 feet. I think you have to remember these two simple ideas. The first is this cycle with regard to the halvening events. And I think it works pretty well. If you just think about it in logical terms, the halvening event is basically sort of the reset button. The market loves to ramp following the halvening event. Unfortunately, the public gets sucked in way up top, buys the top off of the institutions, then they bring the market back down, base it about a year or so ahead of the halvening event, and do the whole damn thing all over again. I've watched now 3 times this happen, so I don't see any reason why we can't see that happen again. Also, too, interesting to see that the risk part of the market is getting its head handed to it right now. I might argue that half of the reason why stocks like Nvidia did as well as they did was because of the huge demand for all the ASICs miners. Does Nvidia do the chips for the ASICs, guys? Josh, do you know that? Do you know? Or Paul?
I don't know about the ASICs, but yeah, they are definitely a GPU manufacturer.
Yeah. And then, of course, interestingly enough, now you can't even get a semiconductor. So it'll be really interesting to see how that plays into the whole.
Yeah,
Moore's
we've had,
law.
again, like I do the infrastructure stuff for the data centers, and we've had various chip issues, supply chain issues, and I think he talked about that kind of during the daily brief as well, whole just-in-time supply chain stuff. But yeah, we've had issues since COVID, and it's still an issue.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Can't get some devices, just can't even get them.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, if you're in a data center, this isn't really negotiable. It's kind of like you can't just say, well, you know what? Yeah, that piece of equipment just blew a fuse. We'll deal without. I mean,
Correct.
Some of the equipment that goes down there, you have no choice. It has to be replaced, or the whole damn thing is pointless, right?
Right. Well, a lot of the stuff that we do is fault tolerant, high availability, and even in addition to that, we're operating in multiple data centers. And then for some of the mission critical devices, we have them have a backup literally sitting on the shelf ready to go. Just because, again, if it goes out, then could be potentially a huge issue for their business.
Right. So have you had
dollars.
it, and would you be in a position to know? But have you had any parts that go out where you're just like, we just can't replace this thing?
I'd say the last 2 years we've had 2 significant issues with multiple customers. One with a Wi-Fi director completely fail, and they were down. We had a kind of band-aid a solution because we couldn't get the 4-hour turnaround, on the equipment. And the same thing with another customer with a switch, just completely down, and just had to, deal with it for 12 plus hours, which is, every minute they're down, they're losing money significantly. So that's 12 hours is a lot.
And are they bidding up? Is it become like a bidding war for those replacement parts, and they're paying like ridiculous prices for those parts?
Yeah, they're not completely gouging them, but it's definitely more. But just the lack of availability is, the major issue for sure.
Yeah. So that'll be an interesting variable in this equation, that Bitcoin and really with the halving schedule, it doesn't make a difference. But probably with this, so the halving schedule, that's variable 1. Then variable 2, cost of production. And actually, this is probably more along the lines of what you just said there. I've noticed that things like retail electricity costs, they're talking about the massive price inflation there. From what I understand, corporations can still lock in pretty darn low utility rates, but I would imagine if energy prices go through the roof here, that won't stay low indefinitely. But also, too, I wonder if, like usually with these cycles, there's another generation coming on, another generation. Actually, I guess it's the other way around here. And so it's sort of like as new generations of these chipsets, I guess, I don't know what the correct term is, mining equipment, as they come on, the cost is reduced because they're more efficient. Moore's law, all that kind of talk. So I wonder if that regular sort of reduction in the cost to mine because of faster, better, quicker chips kind of stuff, I wonder if that schedule is going to be interrupted. And then also too, I was curious, and I've actually asked a lot of people in the space to sort of just keep your nose to the ground. And are you hearing about, as prices coming down and people's lives are getting a little bit more tougher, are there mining rigs coming up for sale on bulletin boards and eBay and all that kind of stuff? And as price comes down, are you finding that people are having to give up on mining because the costs are just going too high? I don't know how that's going to play out over the next year or so. I guess one thing that I suppose, I guess what the point that I'm trying to make here, I suppose, is that, first and foremost, I think we actually do have a very well-established harmonic pattern here now. It is going to take a lot of bullish price action to break this harmonic, as this image shows, right? It's a pretty simple harmonic pattern called an AB equals CD. So A to B, consolidation peak, just replicate that range, C to D, which just takes us down, interestingly enough, basically down into what I would consider sort of cheap levels price-wise. We'll do things like Wyckoff checks. We affectionately like to call them Benkoff checks on this show. As well too, Fibonacci retracement levels. I'm a big fan of 78.6, what I like to call the line in the sand, as like sort of ultimate bottoming zone. And then also too, and interestingly enough, we had a very long conversation in the Daily Brief today about names when they make these D volume profiles. And you can clearly see there's like a shelf here that my hunch is they're going to slam price down into this shelf and then bounce it away. So put it all together, unfortunately, it is painting kind of let's just call it a lower price from where we are currently. Frankly speaking, I'm a little bit surprised at the actual speed at which this is happening. I got the impression, and I've kind of talked to you all in the audience about this before, I really think that we're going to go through one of these scenarios. So it is interesting how you can see into February, and I remember this was Bitcoin Dad. He sort of saved he's the then, I think his name is Garzarelli or something like that. He was the CFTC chairman, and Bitcoin futures were just listed on the CME, and they just made an absolute fortune shorting that thing right out of the gate. But he went to Congress and he was like, don't beat up on Bitcoin. These people are our future and all that kind of stuff. And it kind of, you can see it. It basically established a floor in price. And that's what I was kind of expecting this go around. But ironically enough, actually, if we do equate this to sort of that last cycle, 14-15 cycle, which I think this cycle looks more like, then it's really just a question of how the hell is this going to resolve? And frankly speaking, I'm actually shocked at how violently and quickly this just snapped right back down here. I thought we were going to play around a little bit and at least, form a nice little M or something to give us an actually very polite entry on a short. No, it was... The worst part about this is it came, I think, basically about 2 months early, jerks. And it was just bang, bang, bang. This is what I call an empire 3-bar fractal. And it's not just me. I mean, this is sort of the trading world. Why do they call it an empire? Because it kind of looks like the Empire State's Building. So there is the Empire State Building. That's probably a good image, right? So you can see it kind of looks like a big fractal. Chunky parts on the side with a spire up the middle. And then, of course, a pointy top up top. And if we break the base of the empire, oh boy, big sell signal. And that's exactly what happened, the jerks. And the worst part about the empire, so hopefully you can see that Empire State's Building kind of image. And the worst part about the empire chart pattern is it's so hard to trade. Because it means you got to go short there. And you have to be able to risk all the way up to here. Yuck. So empires are a pain in the butt to trade, but I think that's exactly what that was. Bang, see you later. And probably, the irony of it all is that this was probably also a harmonic in here. Of course, hindsight's always 20/20, drive you crazy, but that was probably some sort of harmonic. So empire following the harmonic PRZ. See you later. In fact, what's interesting is that this pattern right here is actually really similar, if I'm not mistaken, if we drill down to the daily charts off of here. It almost looked identical to that. But anyway, that's here nor there. So, there's your backdrop. If anything, take from this, gee whiz, next time I see an empire chart pattern, that's probably your big learning event for tonight. Wow, we'll respect that stuff. I'll try not to swear, but respect that, what. Wow. So, oh boy. And I guess the worst part about this is I get the impression that keep in mind this is the cash market, but I believe that really, and guys, you're probably not going to like this in the public, but I really believe that the futures boys really have sort of taken over this space. And they're trading this contract here like the wind. So futures contracts. We actually had an A, B, C, D. Remember I was just talking to you about that? I actually slammed into that PRZ here. So I do actually like the idea of maybe in the short term we've hit some sort of pivot down here. What's interesting on the site, we did a little bit of research into options open interest on the CME, and actually something really jumped out at me, which I think, and I did talk about this in the daily brief. If we think, because these options, you have to understand, it's a little bit complicated for crypto people, and I don't even know whether crypto people really even care about this stuff. But, of course, I got to figure out how the hell I get the damn quotes. I noticed that the CME people make it very, very difficult to actually get a quote on Bitcoins. Where is the Bitcoins? I think it's in one of these, like equity, which actually is not a really a correct description.
Check the lounge real quick. I bookmarked this from the other day from Joe.
Oh, yeah, you're a rock star. And I think, honestly, Sharky and I, we go through this exercise literally about once a week or so. He'd literally do this, and he goes, Here's the link, Brian. You are like Captain Links. It's incredible, Sharky.
I've been curating bookmarks since 2017.
I'll do some totally obscure reference, and then bang, instantly Sharky's got the.
It's a joke in level 1 about Sharky's bonus, quote unquote, bonus material. So
yeah, you're a wealth of knowledge, man.
That's my clip notes.
Links. So anyway, the point here is that we were kind of looking at. I don't know whether I have the contract. Okay, so this is Tuesday, and expiration. See how it says May 2022. It turns out these are European style options, and they expire on the 31st of the month. Now remember that date. That's an important date. So we scroll down here, and of course the problem, of course, these guys make it impossibly difficult to understand this crap. Just so frustrating. So there's May. We want all of the strikes, and we really want to look at the puts, because the puts, keep in mind, if you write an option, that's basically an open-ended legal obligation. Don't get into the business of writing naked options. You're just a stupid idiot if you do, and I can't tell you how many stories I have in my career. I used to be an options broker. I literally watched a tenured university professor at the University of British Columbia, Mr. Smarty Pants, and of course Ivory Towers. You better kiss his ass, or he won't pass you his course, regardless of how you think you did with the material. He will find a way to fail you. That's one reason why I absolutely hate the university system. I watched him basically almost blow up a brokerage house because of his arrogance and writing naked options. Just stupid. So, we don't get into the business of writing naked calls. You can go bankrupt doing that. I would suggest if you're going to write a naked put, you better have an asset in your account to be able to actually absorb the purchase if you are forced to buy the asset. And we call those cash secured puts. Anyway, the point of the matter here is lots and lots of retail will write covered calls. I own Bitcoin. Bitcoin doesn't pay an income. How am I going to make this damn thing pay an income? I know I'll write a call option that hopefully doesn't get exercised, and the premium that I collected for writing that call option is now income on my beloved Bitcoins. A lot of people do that in the stock market. Not so much with the puts, though. In fact, if you write a put, technically you're saying, I will buy this asset at this strike price if the market is lower than this level. So, public's not really going to be too jazzed about doing that. And also, too, when you write these options, there's actually margin requirements for the public, so they require you to actually put up more money than you collected. So, you can't, it's not like just getting money for free by writing these options. Point of the matter here is most of the puts in this world are written by institutional players. So if you see a level where there's a lot of puts written, it tells you that that's actually the level that the institutions are willing to buy that asset. So we scroll through here, and I don't even know if this is going to show, but this is the May contract, and oh yeah, you can see volume. They don't even show the open interest here. We had this volume and open interest link here. The only problem is that they make it very difficult to look at the puts and calls. A better place to actually look at this data, I think, is a site called barchart.com. And when we were looking at them here, so it's not, this is a third party, and CME, they don't really want to help you. Now, they're just in the business of clearing, and they make it awfully difficult to understand what the hell's going on there. So I do like coming to a site like this. And we'll look at the futures, and what's that? Is it listed as indexes here? Nope. Which one is it? Maybe financials? Where are you, Bitcoin? I know you're in here somewhere. I don't think they list it under currencies. Oh, they do. Look at that. Interesting. Now that's an interesting development. All right, so there's the May Bitcoin contract, now officially a currency. Ooh, interesting. Let's go to the options quotes. And again, what we really want to look at is this open interest. I don't really care too much about the calls. I already explained that. What I really want to do is look at the puts. And what are they doing now? September. Wow, isn't that a bizarre quote? Oh, I'm on the US dollar. How the hell did I get over here? Sorry, everyone. Doofus now. Okay, slow down, Brian. It's getting all cocky there. All full of myself. Did something wrong there. Okay, Bitcoin. There's the May. Options, quotes. Did that work? Bitcoin. Yay! There we go. Okay, now interesting that they're actually listing them as American here, because if I understand correctly, if you go to CME, they're actually not American. They're European. But maybe this is the micro contract. Maybe the big boy is European, which you saw in this CME. But these micro contracts actually might be European. So that's an interesting twist. Wow, lots of development here. All right, that also has me scratching my head a little bit. Let's see if we have the big boy here somewhere. Energies, metals. Bitcoin, micro. Hey, look at that. They even have Ether micros now. Jeez, we're going to do some really cool analysis here. I don't see the big boy. Huh. Okay, well, let's go take a look at the micros and let's see if there's any usable information here. I think we were looking at the big boys earlier today, and like I said, they are they're European style. Anyway, this is the May contract. You can see it's got 12 days to expiry. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So yeah, that's the 13th there, or 31st, beg your pardon. So it's interesting that they have this European style exercise on the basically the last contract day, last day of the month. Open interest. Let's see what we got here. Ooh. Wow, this number's growing quite a bit here, eh? Look at that. So now that's interesting. 28,750 is the heaviest open interest on the puts, and there's 200 contracts there. Interesting. Now, one thing that kind of jumped out at me today, I did hear somebody earlier today. You know, looking at this, I gotta say, let's maybe take a look and see if all of them. Let's see if there's any others that really jump out at us. 200. That's it, eh? One guy up there. Clearly, this guy is the institutional player. So they're actually willing to step up and buy this Bitcoin micro contract there at 28,750. That's an interesting development because that's actually quite a bit higher than what I thought we saw earlier today. Now, what I want to see is what happens when we go look at the June contract. We'll do all. We got them, let's do them side by side. All right, let's see where the heaviest open interest is here. 26,500. Wow, look at all this. 27,500, 28,000. Wow, 28,500, 537 contracts. That's quite a bit, boys and girls. And you can see not really much else. So interesting because earlier.
What price are we at right now?
Yeah, well, this is interesting because there was a gentleman that was passing around a video earlier today, and I don't know when he did the video, but he made the grand prediction Bitcoin was going to go down to 20 Gs. And we were looking at this earlier, and remember we did see at 20,500 a lot of open interest on the big contract. But on this micro contract, I think that they want to be buyers here at 28.5, eh? And really, they're more than happy. You take the market down into 28.5, 28, 27, 27.5, all this, they'll be more than happy to buy all the Bitcoins you want to sell them. That's very interesting. So actually, I'm kind of glad we did this because I was not expecting to see that, to be honest with you. How many Bitcoins is this micro contract? You know, either of you off to hand?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think the big contract is 5 Bitcoins. I wonder if it's just
I was going to say
one.
5, but that's for the larger one.
Yeah, I wonder if it's just 1 Bitcoin. Anyway, interesting where the price is, eh? 28,800. So, and then, you know, we go back to that futures chart. Remember we had saw that the heaviest open interest was the 20,500. So I don't mean to, I'm wasting a lot of time here, but man, I thought
so. Real quick, from the CME, it says a smaller size contract is 1/10 the size of 1 Bitcoin.
1/10 of Bitcoin?
I'll drop that in the lounge.
That's interesting. Wonder how that works. Well, we got some research to do, TRIers. I'm most interested. I got to tell you, when I see this data here, this tells me that they want to establish a floor somewhere between about 27.5 and 28.5. Now, what's their cost basis? Their cost basis, of course, is going to be the strike price that they're forced to exercise minus the premium that they collect. So, you know, yes, they might be forced to buy at 28.5, but you can see, and the easy way to do this is to go and look at, whether I have it, but to go and look at the VWAP for this option to try and figure out what their average right price is. And you can see, look at that. That was done just here, eh? Look at that. Some serious volume coming in there. Yeah. This was done right on that date there. So you can see it's all between $2.50 and $3. All right in that area. So I guess what this is telling me is that they want an average cost, basically that 28,000, right? That's the strike on this thing, if I'm not mistaken. 28.5, and let's give them 3. So that means they want an average cost of like 25.5. So that kind of makes sense. Sean says there's 145 at 26.50. Is that on the big boy? I mean, like I said, I don't really want to waste a lot of time here tonight, but this is an interesting look at the options market. And then, of course, actually, I don't want to do that. I want to grab Sharky's link. And let's put that in there. See, I was kind of hoping that we'd see it here. So I think this is what we were kind of looking at here this morning, right? The open interest. So we want to look at the puts, and unfortunately, it doesn't look like they differentiate, but 78. Yeah, this was kind of interesting. So this is the big contract. So that's on 5 Bitcoins. So it'd be interesting to see what the difference is. I think this is 20,500. We've been watching that for a while. Also notice there's the 25,000. And notice, yeah, all right, okay, so this kind of lines up with what we're seeing out of the little boys, eh? So you can see 83 is the heaviest open interest there, and you can see if they slam Bitcoin down into these levels, and this is this May expiry. Yeah, expiration May, so this is basically the last 31st on Friday, and these, I think that these options are European style. I get the impression that they're more than happy to be serious buyers right around this area. So I mentioned that, and I mean, look at this. So there's going to be a lot of people are going to be buying Bitcoins on this expiry. A lot of these options are going to expire in the money. So in a weird sort of way, you can kind of see the institutions and the institutional players, they're going to be long a lot of Bitcoins here into this end of this month. which is fascinating. And if the market actually finishes in the money here, right? A lot of these are, CME contracts. I think they're automatically exercised. So all of these guys, like your Mr. 30,000 guy here, that's 58 at times 5. So that's 250 Bitcoins at, $30,000 a piece. That's some serious money.
Now, Brian, here's a question.
Right.
Do some of these institutional players kind of take the scale-in approach where maybe they're going to come in a percentage at 30 and then another at 25 and then another at 20?
Could be. And I would say that sort of the anchor of the market is wherever the heaviest open interest is. Like what they'll do is they'll use this as an anchor, and then they might do like spread trades off of this. So, but this is sort of the anchor for the market.
78 there at 2050 almost feels like they're front running that 20, that big fat round number.
Yeah.
Just so they get their fills.
Well, what was interesting, this is what caught my attention. Remember I had said earlier, there was a gentleman on YouTube, and I gotta say, like what we do at TRI is, every trader is gonna come up with their own sort of, okay, how the hell am I gonna attack this beast? And what I do like is this idea that you have multiple reasons to justify acting. Ideally, I want people to have 3 unrelated reasons. And usually if you have 3, you can find 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. But ideally 3 unrelated reasons. And it's interesting when we look at this. Long and short of it here, just looking at this data set, I don't care whether it's 25 or it's 20 and a half, which in the big picture is not a hell of a lot of difference in price. But I hope you can see that if we dip down into the mid to low 20s here, there's going to be a lot of institutional buyers that are going to be buying this thing. That's long. That's buying. That's not you make money as the market goes down. That's, okay, we just bought. We are the institutions. Institutions buy down markets. What usually happens following all of their buying? Markets go up, right? Isn't that usually what happens? Institutions buy down markets. What is the public doing through this event? Is the public buying right now? I don't know. Paul, what do you think? Is public buying anything right now?
Just panic selling.
Yeah.
All the way down.
Then, of course, the whole Luna situation doesn't help the situation.
Yep.
So you can feel that, the cryptoverse and, if you go on social media, one thing I really don't like, and if any sort of, who you are, I'm just going to leave it at that. Now's not the time to pile on and be like, oh, Bitcoin's so much better than altcoins and DeFi and I told you so. That's actually, I think, a bit irresponsible. And I don't quite the egos in this space is just absolutely over the top. But what I don't like is now it almost feels like the Bitcoin maximalists are like, I told you so, sell all your goddamn altcoin pieces of crap while you can still get anything from it. Which, of course, is just fuel to the negative panic selling fire. It's not healthy. Anyway, that's here nor there. Point is that I think the institutions are actually going to come in on the buy side. Now, I had sort of said earlier, we want to have 3 reasons to justify acting. And of course, I like to trade quote unquote setups, which are all predefined. And then that way you just wake up and you go, is the market doing these 3 things? No, it isn't. Okay, I'm going to go back to bed. It's really, a trader's life could be that simple, folks, really. And ironically enough, your job is to have the patience and discipline not to do anything unless you see those very specific criteria. But nobody in trading ever talks about this stuff, and it drives you nuts. What they talk about is, look at my tool. Which I suppose is pretty normal, right? Isn't that how the playground works?
Pretty much.
Look how big and wonderful and
thing is massive. Holy cow.
Right? So nobody ever talks about the process. How are you going to use that tool? How are you going to bring her to orgasm with? Oh, no, wait a minute. No. I crossed a line there. Sorry. But how are you going to use these tools to frame your behavior, to relieve the anxiety, to make it so that you can come and just run your small business of trading? That's the whole benefit of TRI. The point here is there was a video that was shared in the TRI Lounge today, and I gotta say, I watched the video, I listened to the guy, spot on. I thought he did some very, very good analysis. And he's got, I gotta tell you, man, as a heterosexual male, he has a really sexy tool. Really does. But that's talking to you as a trader. I know, terrible sense of humor. I'm sorry. 12 years old. I like this guy's thinking. But what was really interesting is he came out and he made a grand prediction. The Bitcoin market is going to tank into, I think he said 20,500, believe it or not, on June 5th. And I find it kind of interesting that first and foremost, 31st is this Tuesday. So this contract's going to expire. Remember we said it's European style. And of course, if the market is even a penny, well, really probably a nickel, but if it's anywhere in the money at all, then the options auto exercise. No commissions. You wrote the option, all back office. Bitcoins get transferred to you, or the digital version of whatever hell Bitcoin on a futures contract it looks like, and it might not even be physical Bitcoins. It might just be a cash settlement. But in essence, the transaction is done instantly, off book. Nobody ever sees anything on any exchanges at all. And what a coincidence! That gentleman, 20,500, and then I happened to look at this and I was like, that's awfully coincidental. Are these guys going to dump the market into 20,500, which ironically enough is exactly what this gentleman's tool here is suggesting, right into that end of May, beginning of June window. And in essence, this is just basically, they're just handing this gentleman here who wrote all these, keep in mind that's on 5 Bitcoins. So what are we talking here? 20,500 times 5 times 78. That's a nice polite $3.2 million. Is the market just going to hand that to him right there? Of course, he will be exercised on these. But it's interesting. It would be interesting to figure out what his average right price of this 25 put is. Believe it or not, if he wrote this option for like $4 or $5, then the market exercising this 25, he's fine. In fact, this guy, if like I said, if his average right price is $5 and it dumps into 25, and this guy gets his fill, then this guy actually, it's just a scratch trade. So I thought this was really interesting that, there are talking heads on social media now. And I even I retweeted this guy's study. I was like, that's a tool I'd like to get to know. As one of those 3 reasons to justify a trade. And, when we do get to those levels, you want to drill down to a lower time frame and hunt things like L-Tangonators and bots and stuff to take trades. That's the way you do this game. So I was really impressed with this guy finding levels. And then what I thought was really interesting was this bigger boy over there in this big honkin' futures contract sitting there at that same level. And he's more than happy to buy all the Bitcoin you want to sell him at 20,500. Now this is an interesting conundrum in this, right? The 25 puts, that's actually a bigger size. And then also too, over here, when we look at this micro, we see that there's quite a bit of open interest on this 28. Exactly where the floor is going to come in through this, I can't, no, good luck. It'd be, it's kind of fun. We should do a raffle. What is the exact pivot low of Bitcoin through this May-June pivot? Because, I'd be willing to bet that not a single person will get the exact number right. But it is interesting to see the institutional players are more than happy to back the truck up and be buyers down in this level, even though the public is freaking out and basically they're being told, the message in the broader market right now is palatable. They are freaking out. They basically think that the bull market is over. And what I found interesting too, I won't go into it too much, but another sort of anecdotal piece of evidence for me. First and foremost, like all the crypto stocks, they've all just been absolutely decimated. So, this is a crypto miner. Ironically enough, just absolutely insane volatility. But you go through all of the stocks, like Coin, for example. God, I wonder how many people are going to publicly acknowledge that they bought up top here. I did a little buying here, did a little bit of buying here, got a little bit more buying to do down here. Fascinating that through this, of course, as we're sort of coming into that area where institutions are going to be buyers of Bitcoins, what's the rhetoric and stuff out of this thing here? They're throwing out shit like, well, if in the case of insolvency or
bankruptcy, right?
Yeah. They're gonna basically take your coins. Right. More fear.
Fire sale.
Did they actually say they were going bankrupt? I didn't really hear that. But somebody politely pointed out that gee whiz, what's this statement in the back of their filing here? That in the event of, it's not really.
I actually reached out to them on Twitter, and they actually explicitly said that they're solvent, everything's good, don't stress out. They actually did reply to me with that, but I purposely did ping them just to find out, just to poke the hornet's nest a little bit.
And can you see? Isn't this interesting? Look what's happening down here. Can you see that somebody is coming in size down here? So the old sort of what we call the POC or point of control was up here, but gee whiz, you can see value might actually start shifting down, where basically this will become what we like to call a muoc, where this whole sort of trough in here is going to have to be backfilled. And that's sort of what I was kind of... Sorry?
Larry Williams was saying, right?
Yeah.
From a timing standpoint.
Yeah. An old timer that I like to listen to, and thank you for mentioning that. It's interesting looking at the Bitcoin options open interest and actually take the exact opposite attitude. If the talking heads and the public and the media and stuff are all insanely overly bearish, maybe we have to ask ourselves, are they being suckered into selling at the bottom? Typical. And of course, you can see by the open interest in the options, somebody is willing to buy a lot of Bitcoins and in size down here in the 20s. But Sharky makes a really, really good point. And unfortunately, this is sort of like try to understand that this is a bit of a game, and that the institutions, their job is to get you to sell at the bottom, and then of course they'll turn around, you'll be back in buying at the top. It's just the way the public plays this. But this is a really interesting study. Mr. Larry Williams, who I highly respect, of course, Williams percentage are the basis of my sort of Willy indicator. But he put out this video back in the beginning of the year saying, 2022, Decentraland, what do years 22? Well, you can see he's looking for a pivot right about the middle of the year. Now, what should be the public's attitude through this window? Should they be bullish or should they be bearish? My hunch is the public is going to be screaming for bear and screaming end of the world. So somehow you got to keep a level head and, of course, wait for the W's and all that kind of fun stuff. But I do find it interesting that they're actually looking for a pretty big rally out the second half of the year. And what's the key to all this? He actually did sort of an update video about halfway, I think right around here, sort of a few months in. And he basically said that, look, we gotta see the anecdotal evidence that the Fed has actually got in front of this inflation curve. And what I've been sort of telling my audience on this site, if you're watching this is nothing to do with crypto. This is more just like economics 101. Is what we have to see is and of course, got to find the chart. Everybody's got a drink.
Hey, but that Rings guy did say that those indexes lead crypto. So he's got a crystal ball. So
right. Well, crystal ball.
Take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if he is right. But the key here is this image. So you can see on the spot basis, Fed is raising interest rates. That's exactly what they're supposed to do. And unfortunately, we're now in a cycle. You can see the sine wave. This cycle of rising interest rates goes on for quite a while here. So it's going to be a tough slog. But probably more importantly, I mean, it's one thing to have higher and rising interest rates. It's another thing to have a problem with inflation. And if anything, the Fed always overdoes it. The Fed always is late. The Fed is always wrong. It's a lack of a better term. But in essence, they become a self-fulfilling prophecy. So, yeah, you're saying Kramer's bearish now, so I guess. The problem is that, guys like Kramer, they're in love with the Apple computer. And we looked at that Apple chart. I mean, that Apple chart looks like a train wreck. So anyway, I guess the point that I would just say here is this is what we call the Fed spread. And you can see it's M'd out. M's are good, right? So in the short term, the market believes that the Fed has gotten in front of the inflation curve. But if we look out further on the curve, we see, like if we look at, like, say, the September relationship, we can see that the market doesn't believe that the Fed is in front of the curve yet. And if we look at something like December, now this is now like 6-8 months from now, there's no M's here. So again...
Wow, that's a really good perspective.
Oh, cool. I'm glad you like that. So what we have to see is the relationships down the road also believe that the Fed has gotten in front of this inflation bugaboo. Which unfortunately means that, and this is December, right? So it means we're probably going to see this thing just continue to churn higher here as they try and break the back of this inflation problem. This Fed spread relationship is really, it's not a conversation on inflation per se, as it's more sort of the market's confidence that the Fed is in control of the financial system. This is, and if we see this ratio get above 1.0, and you can see there is 1.0 there, it got actually as high as about 1.26. That's, you've got a crisis, and you might just find the market actually completely abandons the Fed and they lost all control of the system. We don't want to see that. We just don't. All right, take it easy, bud. Paul's going, really, Brian, you talk way too much. And I suppose the shitty part is if we look at any of these altcoins, my hunch is none of them are bottoming. I mean, do we have any ideas? Josh, do you have anything on your screen that actually looks like it's Wing out here?
That's a negative, sir.
So I've sort of said this to the audience on TRI. This is a good time for us to review macroeconomics.
Yeah, this is a shitcoin minus 5,000.
Yeah, tell me about it. Oh, my goodness.
It's all right.
So my apologies. My hunch is we're going to go through these shitcoins and we're going to be like, no, wait. So, if anything, a little bit of a macroeconomic theory here for you today, guys. Maybe helps.
Hey, Brian, one thing I will mention is those puts in that level that the Rings fellow mentioned. There's also a little W on the daily off 786 there, which I thought, again, the whole Shark Toshi thing, Shark setup, W's, 786.
So, slow down. Can you say that one more time, please?
Sure. Actually, check the lounge. I posted my little levels
lounge,
and all that.
Picture. All right.
I just thought that was an interesting confluence of levels there.
This image?
So that's the grist matrix. But if you look left, way over there, that's the line in the sand plus that little cute W right there.
This right here?
To the left down there. So the W.
All the way down here.
There. Yeah, that Sharky likey. That's like 19,000. What's that? 915.
Yeah. Wow. Look at that.
Anyway.
Isn't that interesting? So this is Coinbase, eh?
Yeah, that's where I trade off. So that's those again. That's a similar approach to that trade that Kavark did back in the day.
Yeah.
I joined him on that one, so that's where I'm starting to step in.
Sick.
In size.
Makes sense.
But
if anything, the one
ABCD
thing that we have
down.
I guess. I mean, it's kind of facetious. It's probably not really very nice, but did they make Do Kwon cry?
Oh, for sure. His wife is in protective custody and stuff. Yeah.
I mean, the adage that we knew that they broke the market last cycle. When
Yeah.
I see you have is this crypto Twitter tears?
100%. Yeah.
Right. So unfortunately, we always say, right, you want to be selling when they're yelling. And I don't mean to be rude, folks, but that dog money nonsense last year. You want to know? I mean, this is the poor guy. He doesn't even realize this. But I don't know whether you've ever seen this guy, Remy. Great songs. Love the songs. He's a brilliant writer. I think his name's Remy. Isn't that his name? Dog money.
What's
this guy
is
absolutely this guy here, right? This guy is absolutely perfect at timing the tops of the markets. Look at this. December 21st, 2017. Nailed it. Literally, you could not have a more perfect time. All right?
What's this guy's YouTube page?
Pardon me?
I need to follow.
I mean, he's the most beautiful contrarian indicator. And the sad part about it is he's a good musician. He's a fantastic writer if he writes this stuff. Fantastic writer. But literally, look at what happened last year. I mean,
coming up.
Nailed it.
Wow.
I mean, was that not the top of the goddamn market there?
That's impressive.
The interesting thing is DeFi actually pushed us one more leg higher into November, eh?
Yeah, total blow off.
But man, he nailed that dog money, and how ironic, right? The video was Dogecoin and dog money.
What's that? Reason TV. I need to follow that. I'm going to add that to my step 4 of my trade plan.
Yeah. So, point of the matter is, I love the guy dearly, but if you ever see him make a music video about something, run the other fucking way, or maybe go buy some put options. I don't know. It's up to you.
Yeah. Take profits.
Beautiful perfect analogy of the public coming in. Absolutely perfect analogy. So, anyway.
Yeah, I've never seen that guy. That's interesting.
Really? You haven't heard me? If you hear the song, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'm sure, yeah.
So, anyway, so the point, I guess, here is, unfortunately, and it sucks, because this is... This is the nasty part of capitalism that, of course, the capitalists never want to admit to. Is there were a lot of people that were encouraged to buy up top here in the FOMO, and, we're all going to get rich. And the interesting thing is everybody felt good about doing it, and it was the right thing to do, and and it usually ends in tears. I'll tell you, folks.
Comment on that air gap there from a grist matrix standpoint. That is not common. That is a fucking elevator ride of doom or inbound.
Well, what I'm worried about here is, do you see? Remember this? The exact same thing happened before, and they might just do it right here. But I remember this specifically, not this particular cycle, but this one. Kind of like, you could have done exactly the same analysis, right? And you can kind of see, well, there's a low, and there's a low, and there's a low. And you can see that if we do puke out, look left, the next key level is here.
Yeah, I remember that. That was painful.
Right? And what a surprise, right?
Yeah.
So this is exactly the same scenario. It's identical.
Yeah, that is...
There's your elevator ride.
Get ready. Right into those puts.
If we just fast forward to today, do we have a scenario that's somewhat like this? The worst thing is oh shit, Muslim. How far do we have to go down here?
Yep, Moore's law.
This is looking at it from algebraic. But what happens when we look at it from a logarithmic? So you can see there's the shelf, there's the shelf, there's the elevator ride back down into previous. Well, what does that mean? The irony of it all is it's probably actually going to be almost exactly the same size box, but it's, this is logarithmic, which is, tear your heart out kind of move. But you can see it. Yeah. See that?
That's going to shake the public out significantly.
Breakout. And then if, the interesting thing is there any sort of lows in here that might support price? And I think that's what that low is, right? There's a bunch of trap bears right here that would love to get released. And you can see they're going to make this choppy as hell, right? It's going to dip into here, then rally back, then dip, then rally, then dip, right? It's just going to be chop central. This could be a tough slog here, folks. No doubt about it. And interestingly enough, you can almost see, and I don't know whether, I guess, we did it there. You can almost see these boxes are almost exactly the same size, eh? And remember, this is a logarithmic study. So
yeah, and there's a gap staring at me at like 21 grand.
Well, 21
again, more confluence.
I guess down in this area here, eh? And then also too, that kind of lines up with the previous old high. So, you can see why there's going to be back and forth here, because I would imagine it's interesting how that 20,500 level. This is 19,666 right there. So in essence, somebody is saying, you know what? I'm more than happy to get long, in that window right there. I'm more than happy to be a buyer. And that makes sense, right? That would be the mutual fund guy. He's more than happy. He's been sitting there for probably, what is that? That's December 2020. And it probably happens in, October, November, December 2022. So he's been literally sitting there for 2 years just waiting, just biding his time. So that doesn't surprise me. And if anything, I think what this makes sense, and it's perfect sense, is that's basically your buying window right there on the corn. The issue that I have here is how nasty does the Fed want to get here? I don't know if we've, the good part about Bitcoin is I think you'll probably be able to tell that the bottom is near when you start to hear about potential 51% attacks. So,
it's true.
Something like the gold industry, they could literally whittle down all the marginal players to the point where there's only maybe about a half a dozen majors left that basically control the mining and production of gold around the world. And they're such large producers, and they produce at economies of scale, that with the very low commodity price, they can still eke out a profit.
Yeah, do we put a China ban on that as well? China banned Bitcoin mining, and then that's the bottom again.
It'd be interesting to see, China's, wow, what a funny situation there, eh? We've gone from everybody's in love with China, it's rah, 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 the future, they're the world economy leader, killer, to now, frankly speaking, it's absolute chaos in there now. I would be... I saw an article recently that some people at the border are literally having green cards and all these kind of visas and stuff, all just literally the officials take them up. And I think you were the one who shared that with me, right?
Yeah, they locked down Shanghai, and then now they're locking down the quote-unquote
like
borders.
The whole country.
I'd be curious to get Ray Dalio to come on and give his 2 sats on, quote-unquote China.
Well, that's just it. And you've heard me all along basically say I cannot believe that China could be the world hegemony because, first and foremost, the mafioso government there is basically, they've lined their own pockets.
Yeah.
and they're all fabulously wealthy.
Somewhat obvious as well. Even if you have your head in the sand, it's pretty obvious.
Right. I mean, it's kind of like, it reminds me a lot of like Nazi Germany, where at the end of the war, guys like, who was the big fat guy who was in charge of the Air Force? Remember what the hell is his name? Anyway,
I say Goebbels, but that's an SS guy.
No, he's the propaganda goof. But anyway, one of the Nazi cronies, and it actually reminds me of a story from medieval Europe, where King John, I think it was he went around England raping and pillaging, and he had this like 10-mile long caravan of loot and treasure that he basically stole from the people of England. And he tried to go across this bog, and literally the whole damn caravan got lost to the bog. And like literally generations of wealth of England just got sucked into this bog and disappeared. You know, like gold chalices and necklaces and shit like that, that he just stole. And it reminds me of the leaders of Nazi Germany when they were caught. And this one guy in particular, God, I can't remember his name for some reason. Anyway, he was the guy in charge of the Luftwaffe, and he was the big failure, right? Because he was supposed to beat Britain, and Hitler never really thought highly of him after that. Anyway, when he was caught, he had this long caravan of artwork and people's silverware, and he had like chests of gold teeth and stuff that were liberated from people. I mean, it's just stunning, the amount of wealth. And the thing is once you make a certain amount of money, you can't spend any more. It's, and they're constantly finding these Nazi treasure troves all over the place where, they've been locked away for 20, 30 years because they went and stole all this stuff. And then what the hell do you do with it? So it's kind of ironic that some of these Chinese officials, they're so over-the-top wealthy that they almost, I suppose it's kind of like the Russian oligarchs and same sort of thing there. After you've hit a certain level, I mean, you just can't even really spend anymore. Anyway, here nor there. Point is that I think that the CCP has become extremely wealthy off of the past 20 years of this development of China. But unfortunately, I think the real estate bubble there has finally burst. And now we're going to see sort of the unwinding of that Chinese story. Interesting to see whether the CCP can survive all this, but
and your comments in the daily brief about this whole supply chain stuff as well. I think that's the pin in the grenade for them.
It's a big problem.
Well,
I noticed
the whole
that they're
slave labor thing.
It's interesting. Germany was basically their biggest customer, and Germany's caught between a rock and a hard place with this whole Russian oil thing. So it's almost like Germany's getting double squeezed here, which is kind of a shame. But and I guess it explains why the European inflation is as bad as it is.
So Germany is not all on solar yet? Or is Greta
Actually, I was
matter?
reading an article today that really right now, it's a race against the clock. They have to worry about this coming winter. They're worrying about it now. And what do we do now? So even here in the middle of May.
Smart of them.
They're worrying about what the hell do we do next winter.
Yeah, the whole ant and grasshopper thing, right? Smart.
Yeah, well, dude, if anything, I've been barking about me being an ant and being pissed off about living a very conservative, very frugal life.
The ant is the way to go.
Watching these stupid fucking grasshoppers all partying around me. And
gold-plated steaks.
It's interesting. I don't know what it's like in LA. I don't know whether you see it, but probably you won't see it in the States because you already had your housing crisis.
Yeah, we're insulated a little bit.
But I'm already starting to hear anecdotal evidence that they're starting to see some cracks in the foundation here with this stupid, idiotic Vancouver real estate market. So, finally, the grasshoppers are going to have their feet held to the fire here.
Well, again, I'll reiterate, you're usually right. And you're 99.9999% early.
Oh, thanks, man. So what does that mean? You got to wait another 99.9% of the time until this plays
whenever you
out?
mention something, it's a shot across the bow. Again, just like the Fed's always, late. You're
Yeah.
often early. So take
Yeah,
it.
the Fed's always late and they're
Right.
always wrong. Brian's usually right, but he's usually early.
Right.
So, what
Which
would you
is
rather
nice because you
be?
give us enough time to, if we're not doing the right things, we have enough time to course correct. And again, if we heed the whole ant and grasshopper warnings. If you don't, the light at the end of the tunnel is a train coming at you.
Yeah. So interesting comments over there on YouTube, and you can. And Sharky even said this earlier, right? He's gonna feed me little trigger comments that are gonna get me off on a tangent for 10, 20 minutes. How the hell did we start talking about CCP? So well done, sir. You're doing your job. All right. So Cotter says here, mining map.
At least I said.
Sorry?
At least I did what I said I was going to do.
Yeah, there you
At
you
least I
followed
did
your
what I
plan,
said
right? Way to go. How can you tell Shark Toshi is a professional? Well, he just follows his plan. So Cotter here, he shared this with us. He's over there on the YouTube page, Bitcoin mining map. So I'm not quite sure what you're sharing to us here, Cotter. 0 is very light colored. 37.84 is dark colored. So I guess what you're trying to say here is the U.S. is over here at 37.84, and light is basically nothing. So I guess what you're saying is the United States is doing a lion's share of mining now. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, the whole George Bush and cronies thing.
I beg your pardon?
Like you mentioned, the George Bush and his cronies CIA pet project thing. That's interesting to see the United States.
Now, do I follow for the bait? Do I follow
No, don't.
For the
Yeah,
bait?
don't. I've already sidetracked you. Sorry. Josh
he just had a big hook. He just dangled it in front of my face. And there's a big fucking
I love
turkey
your
sandwich with all
the rants are where the valuetainment lies. So I'm just trying to help the YouTube peeps out.
Yeah, give me. Every time I mention Mr. Bush and his CIA, all of a sudden I feel. And the thing is CIA, they got really good rifles and good.
Well, yeah,
scopes.
it doesn't. Normally the hangout clicks out and the audio.
Yeah, all of a sudden, hello, come in, Tokyo. All right. Anyway, so the point of the matter here is it looks like, I guess, Bitcoin's being mined by the Americans. They're taking over the Bitcoin network, and China's a close second. So that's kind of interesting. All right. Thank you, Cotter. Appreciate the ad. And if anything, oh no, what do we got here? All right. Throws him out, and now Barney's right back in the bar. That would make sense. And I've always said there's something very stinky about the relationship between the United States and China through all this. There's something that we in the public, we just don't know about. But unfortunately, like I said, I don't think us in the public will ever know. So. All right, so, probably the final sort of piece to all this, I think I was, I put a tweet out to this effect. We can do things like now, sadly, this is actually valid now. This isn't just sort of hypothetical. I mean, this is now actually validated. That, in my eyes, is a perfectly valid working head and shoulders failure. And you even had, what's even more bothersome about this is you even have the very well-defined. This, I think you would still call a potential divergence here, but on RSI, that divergence is actually now being confirmed here. Also, too, you can see on this break of this event here with probably all the Luna shit. Of course, they had to dump a ton of Luna, or a ton of Bitcoin that they had in their treasury to try and save the story. And frankly speaking, I don't even know if Luna is going to survive, but that has now broken the volume out to the bear side. We'll see whether there is more selling. Usually they say selling begets selling. That's the whole volume impetus kind of idea. So I actually, is kind of an interesting illustration. I did this conversation with the site members today, just so you understand the power of these volume profile levels. Right? You could make the argument that really, let's say up here, you could look at this volume profile, and the sad thing is everybody looking at this volume profile, you should actually tell me exactly where Doge is going to go. And this is I think I put out a tweet recently saying, the guys who are actually going to create the collapse and basically the redistribution of wealth from the public, basically they got all those stimmy checks and they went and bought stupid things like that GameStop and all the Wall Street bets, crazy ass stories, and all the SPACs and stuff. And now we're going through the process. This is the public basically buying in and chasing. You can see on the profile, where is the smart money long? They're long from down here. And unfortunately, usually what happens is price has to come back down to where the smart money is long. So you see, ultimately, what happened? Well, market worked its way all the way back down to that level. It's painful, sucks, but it's reality. It's the way this shit works. So the next time you see a chart that looks like this, somehow you have to look at this and go, it's great. I love Elon. He's so awesome. He's the best. But there's no bloody way in hell I can buy your coin here. This has just got disaster written all over it. And the irony, this is the true irony of all of this. If you ever hear Brian threaten to change his name to Sedona Euphoria, it is your cue, and we will use this name, this one name. I will use this name as the reference, and as long as we have a market that's free trading, we will go through the ebb and flow of bull and bear markets. And if you ever hear me threaten to change my name to Sedona for Euphoria, it means that you people are acting crazy. And it's got trouble written all over it. And I remember
it was close, though. It was close.
No, the magic number was $1, right? So actually it wasn't bad far.
You had plenty of wiggle room. All right,
yeah, there's lots of room. But hey, if we got up here, man, that would have been like fucking almost 7-figure payday for Brian. So I'll change my name for 7 figures.
You didn't take profits into UST, did you?
No. And isn't that kind of funny? I mean, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I told the boys that if I was going to be taking profits, everything had to go into US dollars, because you pay your taxes in US dollars. And so when I took profits, I knew that there was going to be a tax obligation, so it went into US dollars, so I could pay my taxes in US dollars when the tax bill had to be paid.
And that's a great point right there. I think a lot of people didn't do that, and they learned and hopefully learn from that mistake.
Well, you tell me, what does Janet Yellen think of a UST or USDC or any of those things?
She's hell-bent on, we already got took off at the knees, so she's going to come through and grind everything else.
Well, yeah, now she has the justification for coming in and absolutely sitting on these markets.
She was waiting for it.
Yeah. I don't know whether you've ever had Granny sit on your face. It's not really a pretty picture.
I don't know. It's all right.
Well, your dog likes it. So anyway, the point being that this is a really, really good illustration of the market just simply coming back to value. Really, I might argue, and we walked through the daily brief today. We actually walked through the trade metric process, and really all we're waiting for now on Doge, now that it's done this retracement, all we're waiting for is just a nice big fat weekly W, and we can actually go and buy all the coins that we sold up top here back and do it all over again. Now, how long does that weekly W take to come in? It might take a good year. It wouldn't surprise me. So be aware.
How's MACD look on that?
Huh?
Is it even? How's MACD look on that? Is it even starting to bubble?
Well, that was the
with
whole
potential,
point,
dude?
is that we do actually have confirmed bullish divergences
Oh, do we
here.
really? Oh,
Yeah, on
interesting.
the weekly basis. And the irony of it all
Beautiful.
is, you know who came
Ooh, is that
in,
OBD?
you know who came in and shilled it like crazy to his audience.
Nice.
So the irony of all of this is that, and actually this is a really good analogy of volume impetus. Um, this ironically enough, I don't actually think this is a bear market. I think this is just simply a market where the bulls just fell asleep right here. That's our volume impetus concept. Oops, actually I'm one bar over. Sorry. Right here. This is where the bulls basically fell asleep right there. And, volume impetus, take the course if you want to learn what the hell I'm saying here, talking about. But you notice the bears really are not active either. So that's the irony of all of this, is that the money's not really flowing out of this story. It's just nobody in their right mind was really actually buying up here. Just it was the weirdest thing seeing the public getting sucked into spending their stimmy checks on this. There were weird guys that were like out of Africa running YouTube channels, and they were literally going every second
La la
sentence.
la 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 la.
Yeah, la 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 la. So just to make sure that the Google algorithm and stuff didn't trip up that, oh my God, this guy's shilling this cryptocurrency kind of crap. Yeah. So that's the weird part about this. And the irony of it all is that, if you just follow simple trend line analysis, there's your downtrend. So they've already broken that, according to our trend line kind of thinking. What we really want is nice 3 tags. 1, 2, 3. Okay, fine. Looks good to go. Again, our MACD histogram's actually pointing bullishly here on the weeklies. Willie is officially stupidly oversold. Would be nice and interesting. You can see that actually TRICTO, he loves this study to help him sort of decide when to risk his money. When the Bollinger Bands on RSI start to compress like this, it means that the frivolity of the market is left. And you can kind of see how, super frivolous, and then notice the bands really compressed in here, and then we created this, and then boom, big rally.
Yeah, and they also left a gap at 0.05. Well, just shy of that, but I can see them pushing it down right into that, just below that little W. Yeah. On the weekly too. So a weekly gap.
Wow,
very interesting.
There's
5
a
cents.
Weekly gap here? Really?
Yeah, that's what I use. I usually do weekly L tangos, and I use that OBB divergence to complement it.
At a nickel?
Yeah, so we're at 8 cents or so now. I could see them just pushing a little bit lower.
What market are you looking at?
This one's at Binance, but yeah.
So the thing is that this isn't even real, right? Maybe are you looking at it versus Tether?
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe Tether.
I'm just using a Binance because a lot of people are there.
So yeah, I don't see your gap. I will. Actually, I don't have send script on here. I really should.
At 6, that's what I use. Shout out to Sana. That little W though, that if we're gonna do a Benkoff check, that's
right in there.
6
There's
cents.
a gap in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the point here is, if you're gonna try and time a purchase, first and foremost, any W's there? No. So I don't think there's a huge hurry. And lo and behold, look at what just came in here, right? Up, down, up, see you later. So fresh selling wave. The only issue here is I don't think it's in your best interest. I don't know where the hell you bought this. If you bought it up here, maybe it's a good capital loss you could kind of think about. But, if you did buy it down here and you haven't done anything, do you really want to sell now? I think you can see where the value shelf is. I actually like the idea over the next sort of few months, maybe 6 months, we do something along those lines. Anyway. So, Be interesting to see if the Fed can get its act together and get in front of the inflation curve. And I did find it interesting that they're probably going to engineer a hard landing. Mr. Powell, of course, he's rooting for soft-ish landing, whatever the hell that is. The good part about this is that the broader overall economy is actually very strong in the U.S. So that's where I can understand the soft-ish landing that he sees. Now, something like Canada with a runaway, potential communism, I think. In a weird sort of way, I think sort of Klaus Schwab's sort of dream is a communist kind of state where, him and all his cronies, of course, own everything. And you're just a minion and you sort of just follow along and do what you're told. I get the distinct impression, actually, Mr. Powell would like to put that whole concept and that whole idea out of business. He will destroy the bubbles that sort of support that kind of thinking. And, like the Canadian real estate market, good example. As soon as Canadians really start to feel the pain of falling real estate market, which they have not seen in like 25 years, it's been since we've been in a falling Canadian real estate market. I think their love affair of all this socialism and the absolute runaway money printing by our communist dictator leaders right now, I think that will be brought to an end very
Brian, what percentage do you think of the Canadian real estate is propped up by China? Just off the cuff. 50, 75%?
It's a perfect storm here. The one good thing going for Canada is that historically it has a pretty positive sort of mental picture around the world. So when people say the word Canada, like in the middle of Europe and stuff, I would never have anybody be belligerent to me if I said I was from Canada. So Canada always has that card to play in its back pocket. But I think this is more a conversation about the direction of interest rates and these fear-greed cycles and how Canada just went through a 20-year friendly cycle. So basically all of the tea leaves were pointed in Canada's way as long as interest rates kept falling, and as long as commodity prices are relatively firm. I think that oil prices got bid up a little bit too much during Junior Bush's administration. So we, in a weird sort of way, we kind of had the commodity cycle front-loaded this particular 20-year cycle. But as long as those trends, lower long-term interest rates and friendly bond market and relatively firm commodity markets, i.e. baby boomers buying hard assets and leaving the stock market and the broader economy like the way that they were doing over the past 20 years, that really, and also too, something like Vancouver, this is a very luxury environment. But like, it's too bad you weren't able to come up for the meetup we had here in Vancouver. Did you come? I can't remember. Maybe you didn't. I don't remember.
No, I wasn't able to.
Yeah. But almost every single person, and I remember one guy in particular, Alex Bajani wrote a whole bunch of scripts and stuff for the library.
Yeah, I know him. Super nice guy.
Yeah, just over the top nice guy. In fact, I stayed at his place while I was in Berlin. And as soon as he got here to Vancouver, he was like, holy crap, I want to move here. I want to move here yesterday. And literally, he actually got a job interview with Amazon, like really right away, just instantly. And I was like, he's the type of guy that you could see it in his eyes. When he has his mind set on something, it's going to happen. And then I think we actually had a mini baby boom that came out of that Vancouver meetup. A bunch of the couples that were here.
That's true.
Mysteriously, they
Half a
started to
dozen,
have
at
kids
least.
about 9 months after that Vancouver meetup.
That's funny.
And that's what derailed his moving.
It was the pulled pork.
Yeah. No pun intended. Anyway. So now Paul's even like, are we going to be talking about trading here tonight? Sorry,
That
Paul.
was my goal, that we didn't get through any of the crypto. Sorry,
Yeah.
guys. I derailed.
Well, we did talk about Doge, and the irony of it all is that
Sarcastic
I actually think Doge is not that far away from actually being a buy again. So go figure, right?
Well, I haven't even been checking it. And then when you mentioned that, I pulled up my chart, and yeah, that has literally everything minus what you have there, the W. It's like,
It's the only thing that's missing.
Part of the issue I have, though, is being long from so far back. It's like, but my plan's my plan. I got to step in.
Well, and we all know how this cycle goes. My hunch is, unfortunately, we also have Mr. Benner kind of staring us in the face. If you're not familiar with Mr. Benner, and actually great job by Josh on the site, he actually did a sort of the old Benner image was very hard to read, and Josh actually went and sort of revamped it, and he put it out. Here's Josh's revamped Benner cycle, so it's nice and clear. You can really see the numbers, and unfortunately, you can see 23 is not fun. So we got to get through this first. And I think it has really less to do with Doge itself and more to do with this long-term cycle, Feds raising rates, super jerks in Eastern Europe doing what they're doing, Chinese locking down cities with 50 million people, basically unwinding the bubble of their real estate market. And ironically enough, I would actually make the argument that this was, Sharktoshi said there earlier, Brian's usually right, but he's usually early. My thesis and what I teach everybody on this site was that I thought that the last fear cycle, and now technically we're in a greed cycle, started at the end of 2017, beginning of 2018. Interesting, Mr. Benner said that the cycle needed to go on through 2019. Nonetheless, we are in the meat and potatoes of a very nasty period for our society. And I don't really think it's in our best interest to get too rah-rah bullish, too rah-rah bearish. If anything, believe it or not, for a guy like me, cash is king. The more cash you got, especially now, U.S. dollar is waving its you-know-what around, saying, I'm the boss, don't get in my way. The Fed now is raising interest rates, which, of course, is going to absolutely cripple any sort of over-leveraged markets. Canada, excuse me, Australia. I heard a guy say the other day, and I couldn't believe it, but it's such a great analogy of hyperinflation. We were joking. Pack of smokes there, and the local currency is $40 for a pack of cigarettes. What is this?
Prison rates.
I was just about to say that. He took the words right out of my mouth. This is crazy. Yeah. Absolute, it's almost like criminal.
That is currency.
And then he told me the other day that, now the price is $49.50. So it literally, in about a month or so, the price just went up another 20-30%. So it's literally like we are in the sort of inflationary spiral, death spiral for these commodity countries. Of course, everybody knows what the death spiral of a commodity country like Russia looks like. Thanks, Vladdy. Australia, it's kind of sad the way that's going, but it makes sense. China, basically the purchaser, they've just stopped buying. So what happens in a grocery store if you have full shelves and you're just ready there to kick ass and do business? You got all your employees lined up, they all look great, they all have beautiful crisp uniforms on. You open the doors and nobody shows up. That's exactly what's happening to Australia right now. It's shocking, really.
And Philip Morris just put in a weekly W, it looks like, as well.
Yeah, well,
That looks like a bot on the weekly.
Isn't that interesting?
That's crazy.
And that's is that Altria, the parent of Philip Morris? I haven't looked at Philip Morris.
The symbol is PM, Philip Morris International. I'm assuming that's the Marlboro Peeps. I could be wrong.
Yeah, they changed their name.
I don't know what all those buy stocks are.
Yeah. Philip Morris, everybody knew them from their cigarettes. And so about 10, 15 years ago when cigarettes really were on the outs here in North America, they changed their name.
Negative
to Altria.
Marketing. Oh, okay.
So what does Altria look like these days? Interesting. Yeah. Actually, you can see the bottom came in over here, right? So it's climbing the wall of worry. Anyway. What's Paul got for us? Actually, why don't we let Paul describe what he sees going on here? I noticed he just posted this, and I think this is the link that he just gave us here. Bitcoin. So while Sharky's got me completely distracted, Paul's actually in there trading like a professional that he is. Way to go, Paul.
That sounds like the Romanian nightmare right there.
And look at him.
Like a freaking boss.
So tell me what you see out of the Bitcoin here, Paul.
Yeah, I see the potential dips on OBV, MACD, RSI. Really was stupid earlier, so I just took a trade on that W.
Cool. Good. And I mean, here's the kick in the pants is that ironically enough, if you're really good at your craft, you have just a few reasons that justify acting, and you could probably describe the whole trade in like a sentence, just like you did. Well, I got bull divs. I've got W's coming in on the indicators. I've got a W in the price. You can see my price objective. What's this?
Exactly.
What's that? Is that 61.8?
Third reload zone, yeah.
618.
So I kind of like using the 50% rule as a target, but I think I seen Paul. He really likes to use 61.8s. So let's all.
What's Anton Krell's quote? He just
that?
trades volatility. Doesn't matter what it is, right?
Yeah. Good point. And if anything, I don't like this though, because if they relieve this oversold condition too quickly and they bump it up here, they might knock it back down into the end of the month, right?
Yeah, but first they'll hit my take profit, hopefully.
Also, too, this is interesting because we should probably go and look at the options on various different cryptocurrency stocks. And isn't BTO, I seem to remember BTO is like, now it's following GBTC pretty closely. This thing, ProShares Bitcoin Strategy ETF. And interesting, actually, gee whiz, can you see Hogue? Hogue would actually be interested in this, eh? Where's Hogue? Right down here. Look at, we're totally below value here, right? So actually this might be a fun exercise. Let's go and how do I do that? Barchart.com. Let's go see what the option, what have I done here? There it is. Let's go see what the option open interest on the BITO is and see if that gives us some hints. So you might find, because keep in mind, the regular monthly options expiry for stocks is the third Friday of the month for like the monthly option. So you see that 5/20 expiry. So that's Friday. So we're sitting here $18.13. And frankly speaking, I look at this, that looks awfully cheap, eh? So interesting how Paul is hunting longs down here. Yeah, well, it doesn't surprise me. It sounds like the hallmark of a pro. And interesting how, look how there's a little double bottom off a 30-minute chart. What was the time frame that you had on that chart that you shared us? Was that like a 15-minute chart or something?
Well, and that bounce also complements that daily bearish bottom looking at. Into resistance and then, yeah, shit the bed.
All right, so yeah. Oh, you jerks. All right, so in essence, yeah, there's Paul's trade. He's going long. He's going to be taking profits on rallies probably back into this market structure. Then we went after the stops. There's probably a nice liquidity pool in there. And then, we bang up against this trend line. We can't even really get a buy on this until we break through that trend line and then W on the other side of the trend line.
Yeah. And I can't tell you how many times I've been stopped at scratch on those bots.
Yeah.
That just
Scratch is the best, second best trend, right?
Fair enough. It is what it is.
So I guess the point that I would just make is, and I just wanted to see what Paul's chart was there. What the hell was that? Fudge. Did I not have it open? I thought I had it open in the, here it is over here. Yeah, there we go. All right. So he's looking at a 30-minute chart on Binance. So actually, that's interesting because this is retail hours. There's a 30-minute chart. Can you see the double bottom there? So I wonder if that's the same pattern. Probably also too. This would be kind of fun. We could go fucking bomb there to there, and boom, 2 points. Oh, look at that, 4669. That's crazy. Hate when they do that stuff. So probably not a bad pivot level. And actually, what should happen is if we bang against this fog and bomb, and it looks like we just bottomed, if we accept this level, we're gonna put that away, then really we should go back up and kiss this fog and bomb level from the underside. We should come up here and then doink. The issue is, of course, that's all a gap. So interestingly enough, for Paul, reload short zone would be like up in here. Basically fill the gap. There's his 61.8. Now the interesting thing is we can do a fog and bomb off of this W. So let's see what pops up off of that. There you go. Interesting. Look how 4669 basically is the gap fill. That's kind of cool, eh?
Confluence, as you say.
Mm-hmm. So what we have to do is we have to figure out that gentleman's Fibonacci circles, which I thought was a super, super cool application, eh?
I mean, seeing him use it, and again, hindsight being 2020, I'm curious if he only posts his correct ones, but yeah, there was definitely value there for sure.
I even said, I'm interested as a trade location tool to add it to our tool belt. I've never really seen anybody actually be able to teach how to apply those circles. And I think
it reminded me of your fib spirals, though. When I looked at it, I was like, this is a combination of GAN and fib spirals, but probably some sort of fork and fib circles.
Yeah. I mean, I got to hand it to the guy. It's pretty cool stuff. It was
spot on. His analysis was legit. Yeah. Those levels, from a support and resistance standpoint, tons of value there.
So I guess the question is, based off of this thing, if we want to work our way down into that 20,000 area, I guess that would probably be, and this is where it gets a little scary for the crypto kids, right? A, B, C, D. But the whole reason why I wanted to look at this was I wanted to see where the institutional players are willing to buy this. Maybe because we have this May options expiry coming up here in 2 days, maybe we get a little bit of hint. So look at this open interest. These are the numbers we want to look at. These are the calls. So clearly you can see if the market is above 19 here, there's a whole bunch of options that actually are valuable. And notice, look at that, there's 4,000 options there at 20. If the market's above 20, those are valuable. If the market actually expires below all of these levels down in here, then all of these options written expire worthless. So what do you think, guys? Is there some incentive for them to keep this market down here below these levels? Probably really below that 19 level into the day after tomorrow. I think so. Where are they willing to buy? Wow, look at that number. Jeez, that sure jumps out at you, eh? So interesting here. This is a really good application of this. Does it not make sense that if the market closes at a pen, well, probably 5 cents, at $17.95 or less, this option will auto exercise, and whoever wrote all these 12,000 options will be forced to buy this BTO stock, right? 100 shares. And then this is some serious money, right? We could go, it's 100 shares times, that's a pretty big number for an individual stock. Yeah. 12,000, we'll just do nice round numbers. Let's say 12,000.
They are prepared to accumulate there. That is for sure.
So that is a total of 1.2 million shares. That's a couple shares. Times, right? And it's $18 strike price. So 22.6 million, almost $22.7 million. Somebody is going to have to spend if they finish this thing at $17.95 or lower. Now look where the market is right now, $18.13. After hours, $17.84 to $17.89. Now the interesting thing is, do they want to get exercised? Maybe they do. It'd be interesting to see what the average right price of this option is. And we can see if we have like the VWAP. There it is. All right, right now the VWAP is sitting 45 cents. You can see now really the question here is where did most of the business get done? Look at that, 8,000 of those contracts got done all the way up here. Oy, 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 oy. The current VWAP right now is about 50 cents. So what that means to me, roughly, and it'd be interesting to see exactly because you can see a whole bunch of them were written here as well. But let's say hypothetically, let's say 50 cents just on the cuff. That means that we said that there was 1.2 million shares, and 12 so times 50 cents. So they collected about $500,000 in premiums. So either they finish the stock above 18. And they pocket that $500,000 in premiums, or stock finishes below 18. You saw that in after hours it's 17 and change, and the options are auto exercised. That's going to be a really interesting battle to see what plays out. And remind me on Friday, because on Fridays I come on and do the daily brief. We should take a real good look at what happened with this BITO and how that finished the week. That'd be really interesting. And Paul is conjecturing that they really want to take this thing out of here, and they really want to just pocket those premiums, and they don't really want to buy the stock here. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. All right. Kind of
especially
a different
if that ABCD plays
tonight.
out, huh?
I beg your pardon?
If that ABCD plays out that you're looking at. So yeah, on Friday.
Well, if the ABCD plays itself out, we're probably going
we'll be
much,
underwater.
much lower, right?
Yeah.
What did I do with that? Yeah, I wouldn't mind taking just a quick boo at the coin. Let's see where the institutions are willing. Are the institutions actually willing to step up and buy this thing here? Options. All right, so again, May options expiring in 2 days. Where's the heaviest open interest? Shazam. 4,486 contracts at $60. And here we are. Look at that. In after hours, there's 61.69 to 62. So they still need to drive this thing down a couple bucks here. To get it, I think you're going to get another big panic wave of selling tomorrow. So it's interesting that that Paul has stepped in on the long side there. Wish you luck, sir.
And I could see that dead cat bounce I think he's taking a 30. Was that 30-minute chart he's on?
Yeah,
Yep,
maybe,
30
Little
minutes
scalp.
or 50 minutes.
maybe it plays itself out by Friday.
Yeah, I could see that into resistance, and then yeah, I think there's going to be a bitch slap inbound.
Well, only time will tell, eh?
Bet you a
So
dollar.
my interpretation of the options is a little bit lower on both of these issues that we saw. So if they leave the market, well, if they leave the market exactly where it is, that BITO, they get exercised on that. On this Coinbase, they will be exercised on these 65s. But the 60, I think they could knock this down a little bit more. So you might even hear some more sort of Coinbase FUD. And there's Cotter, $10 Coinbase incoming. I don't know whether I want to get too wrapped up in that bearishness. Keep in mind, they can only stretch the rubber band so far, and they've really stretched it a long way here on the downside. This to me looks like it's getting a little overdone. But nonetheless, maybe. I mean, $10 isn't that far away, right? That's only right. What was the low on this thing the other day? $40. Probably on a log scale. This is going to start to look rather large here. Whoops. Oh, darn. Yeah. So your $10 objective. That's down in this area. Maybe. Tough to say. Be interesting to see how this whole Luna story plays out. Interestingly enough, could Luna be this cycle's Lehman Brothers? Maybe. Could this be kind of the catalyst? Because from what I understand, there are a lot of Wall Street people that took a chunk of that Luna, including one gentleman by the name of Mike Novogratz, who's got a big-ass tattoo on his arm reminding me of this wonderful investment for the rest of his life. Reminding him, not me. Reminding him of this wonderful investment for the rest of his life. That's going to be a bitch to get off. I don't even know if you can. It's so big. Could this be sort of the catalyst that starts this cascade? And sadly, actually a lot of sort of financial services industries. And, you know, what I've also heard too is that theoretically Tether never did have the one-to-one backing of sort of stablecoin. And the only way that they sort of got away with the not having 100% reserves was the fact that they actually owned a bunch of corporate paper that paid some sort of crazy-ass dividend yield. Was any of that paper based in China?
Evergrande. Evergrande.
So in a weird sort of way, I don't mean to be rude, guys, but, you know, the U.S. housing market, you know, bubble, all that kind of talk, was Dog Money, and the fact that Mr. Dog Money was on Saturday Night Live being kind of silly the way that he was that not actually sort of the equivalent of the U.S. housing bubble? Was it not similar? Did the way that these DeFi kids, I mean, you guys have heard about these NFT markets where people are paying just absolutely obscene prices for these NFTs that technically are worthless.
Well, I'm waiting to hear about the tax backlash from all that.
Yeah, I
That's
suppose
something
so,
we haven't really heard from yet. So I think that could be another shoe that drops, especially if some of them NFT people were quote unquote selling into themselves to raise the floor, etc. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, there are stories of market manipulation around all that, eh? So, I don't know. I mean, you hate to be a dick, and you don't want to be sort of, you know, rain on people's parade. But, gee whiz. I remember back in the 70s, there was a fad called pet rocks. And people paid just absolutely absurd amounts of monies for these pet rocks. That were rocks! Then, of course, we had the Cabbage Patch Kids. I mean, what do you do with a Cabbage Patch Kid? Not a hell of a lot, but man, I remember people paid absolutely insane amounts of money for those things. So,
For the Beanie Babies.
yeah, Beanie Babies came a little bit later. That was the mid 80s. I was actually living in your neck of the woods when Babies were all popular.
I'm dating myself with that one.
Yeah, but nonetheless, it's basically the same. So, I don't know. I mean, the sad part about NFTs is I still don't quite understand the intrinsic value of them, but you know, maybe that's just a function of the cycle, and that was exactly.
I still do think that the NFT space has a play with the gaming and things like Minecraft and Fortnite and things like that. The inflatedness, yeah, that needs to come out of the market again, just like the whole, sloshing back and forth GIF that you showed at the very beginning.
Yeah.
But the thing like Minecraft, I mean, the kids, they find value in it. It's, not a necessity, but it's definitely, there's a marketplace there for sure. In-game purchases.
There you go, Connor. That's your shout out. All right. So, fascinating market. Are we all students of history here? Students of the market? Be interesting to see how these kind of Bitcoin ETFs all sort of play out. Do they go back into the cupboard? I remember I was really cross at myself for kind of fricking up this trade. If anything, this is a great analogy that, next bull, this guy probably does pretty well. It's a bank. It's in California to service the crypto industry, but you can see they're even unwinding this thing now. So right across the board, we're getting lots of heavy messages out of the crypto space. Fortunately, what that means to me is probably we just got to leave this stuff alone for the next little while. It kind of sucks. Okay, well, anyway, there's your 10,000 foot view. Thank you, Sharktoshi, for derailing me on many opportunities. So we never really did do what we're supposed to do here tonight. I love you, babe. Just kidding. Great conversation. Like I said, not a hell of a lot to get excited about, but I am actually pretty pleased to see that Paul here. Oh, God. Everybody's got a drink. Anyway, I had Paul's chart up here somewhere.
Yeah, I'll only come on during bear markets, just for
just to distract me.
Yeah.
Interesting.
If it's a dev
Look
cycle,
at this is the little W that I think Paul just bought there. So congratulations, Paul. And I made this funny. This is something that I don't know whether I mentioned to you on this show or not, but I did mention it on the site. This surprised me. Holy for holies! Did I mention this on the show here tonight? The way that the spreads have just collapsed here. So something very suspicious just happened. Maybe this also, too, you might find that maybe there was some news out of China regarding Bitcoin. Like everybody's saying, maybe there's another China ban here. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Something really startling hit the fan here on OKCoin forwards, suggesting, unfortunately, very, very negative sort of sentiment.
Wow, is that just tonight? Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, maybe
Today.
the problem is I can't even comment. I have no clue what the hell's going on there, but that really does surprise me. Wow, that was shocking to see that. So, go figure. All right, so kind of a sloppy show tonight, everybody. I've been babbling away for 2.5 hours. I don't want to just go on endlessly here. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Kind of a bigger, broader look. If anything, I really wanted to look at the Bitcoin options tonight, so thank you for indulging me. And of course, unfortunately, with everything looking as crappy as it is, and Cotter calling for Bitcoin to go to zero. Just kidding. There's just not a hell of a lot to get excited about. I mean, all I see is M's all across the board here. And to add insult to injury, all I see is the damn Bitcoin maximalists are just going to be fucking insufferable. So there's the theme of tonight's show. I have the great privilege of hanging out with my son tomorrow. And on these shows, as we sort of wind up, I always like to ask everybody to say a nice positive karmic thought in your sleep, in your dreams tonight for Liam. That hopefully he's in good spirits and he feels good about life. And believe it or not, I actually think asking all of you to send that comic best wishes, I actually think it does make a difference. So I think I'm going to leave the show off tonight with just that. Paul, next show, I'm going to formally ask you not to talk so much. I think you're becoming a distraction.
Yeah, I know, huh? I'll be quiet.
But hey, he ironically enough, he was the only one who gave us any value tonight. He's like, oh, by the way, there is a Bitcoin trade going on here. So hats off to you, sir. You're a scholar and a gentleman, and thank you very much for getting up in the middle of the night here to spend 2 hours just listening to Brian say absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I like Brian's rants.
So, thank you, sir.
That's why I wake up.
There's his W. Caveat
maybe
emptor.
it is now.
You see the range. Live by the sword, die by the sword.
Yeah.
So thank you, sir. I love your professionalism, and thank you, Sharky, for coming on tonight and having
pleasure.
fun. What would you say? Was Sharky provoking me? What's the expression?
As always, at least I'm consistent.
You're awesome, man. Thank you so much for being you. You're the best. And of course, Ben, we'd love to see you back in the saddle next weekend, and maybe we can get a little bit more disciplined with our following the spreadsheet. So I suppose the only thing that I'll do here to sort of end tonight is talking about said spreadsheet. What do you think, Josh? Do you feel like sticking your neck in the noose here tonight and giving us a grand prediction of what the hell's going to happen next week?
Yeah, I'm going to go with old Grist Matrix from level 2. I think we're going to get a bounce into resistance, and that ABCD is going to play out.
Okay, so what I heard was, and we'll make you Sharky, rally into resistance, then a rollover. Is that what I heard?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what kind of vote is that? Is that we're going to be down 5%? We're going to be down more than 5%? We're going to be up 5%? We're going to be up more than 5%?
Yeah. No, we're going to rally from what we're at, 30 grand here till that bot entry is 39.
Oh, okay. Ooh, substantial rally, eh?
Yeah, I think we're going to rally into that trend line resistance again.
So that's almost basically, you see how it went from 39 down to 29, and pretty much we've done nothing here. You think?
Yeah, I think these Wednesday to Wednesday shows are interesting based on the day. It's kind of interesting to watch.
Yeah, so you think we're going to just jackknife back up into this 39 area?
Yeah, I do.
All right, well, good. If anything,
put in an M, and then
if you're right, then you have no
grand.
choice. You have to come on these shows every single week. We all have to rub Sharky.
Yeah.
For good luck. All right, Paul, what do you think? Well, what's your prognostication here this week?
+1.
All right.
35,000 will be
still looking for up. All right. And yeah, and that's an interesting point that you make, Sharky, is that this week to week, it's a funny kind of window to analyze, eh? Because
yeah, it is interesting.
What I often see is it's sort of like it's like a zero-sum game. They take it down into the weekend, then bring it back into the following week. So where's my how's my damn Bitcoin chart? Nope.
Almost need to do a week to week just using Wednesdays. Just look back. That'd be interesting.
Darn, I think I lost it. Oh boy, everybody.
Time to take a drink.
Yeah, take a drink. Fucking Beamish gonna get me drunk. And nope, I don't have it up here anymore. Guess I put it away. All right, so let's see how we're gonna do this. And I think we're using stamp, right? I sure love using my sine waves. Wow, that's what we look like right now on the dailies? Ouch. Ay, ay, ay. You guys are bullish, eh? I think I'm going to look for more down. This just looks too ugly. So hopefully I'm wrong and you guys are right. The fact that I just got this fractal fail here. In fact, actually, that's a
What's your
1,
target
2,
on that
3,
ABCD? I'm
4,
curious.
5. That's a 5-bar fractal there. So, 20 grand. Right into that. In fact, actually, I like that because remember our buddy, Mr. Fib
Mr. Reams.
Cycle. Mr. Fib Cycle guy, he was saying 20 and a half, right? 20 or 20,000. Nice. I think he said 20,500. And of course, that's that options expiry, right? So the question is, where is next Wednesday's show? Oh, okay. So that's still a week away. So this might take a couple weeks to develop, but I think unfortunately I just got to stay with this. So I'm gonna vote.
That looks good.
I don't know whether I really want to vote -2, but I think I'll just make a vote of -1. So if anything, that's good for you guys because I'll probably put a floor in with this Barrett. This is fine.
Saying it with confidence.
It just goes to show.
Listen,
man.
it is what it is.
So, what is -1? That's orange, right? So, yeah. All right. All right. So we've all actually interesting. We're all different. So the only way that we can be proven completely wrong is if we totally puke out, or if we're unchanged. So that's kind of interesting. Enough. And maybe Ben, if you are watching later on, you can pop in. I guess maybe we put Sharky in your spot. We can maybe why don't we'll put Sharky over here, and then we'll say Ben votes in.
I think I stuck my head in there previously too at one point from the jacuzzi.
All right. So we'll let Ben, if you are watching this later on, and I'll remind you if I see you on the site. You still got to vote for next week, and then we'll see how Sharky did with. Maybe we'll see Sharky next week. Of course, if we do, probably more rants about totalitarian dictatorships and prime ministers named Castro. All right, everybody. I think I'll leave it at that. I'd love to ask Paul to take us on out of here, but he'll just tell me to go screw myself. So, Sharky, maybe you do the honors this week. Been a lot of fun talking with you guys tonight. Hope you got some value out of that. If anything, hopefully you guys maybe learned a little bit about options open interest this week. And maybe we gave you a little bit of a tidbit. I think a real encouragement to go watch that gentleman's. I think I even retweeted it out, so find it on my Twitter feed. And by all means, we teach you a ton of different technical tools. I showed you a few, the Doge volume profile kind of idea. Lots and lots of stuff that you can frame your setups. I'd encourage you to think location, indicator confirmation, price structure, go. Also, too, probably the harder part of this equation is just setting yourself up so that you can come to the market and participate on a daily basis, and set yourself up in a position of strength. So you just run your small business of trading. That's all about our school education program, teaching you the process. Million different ways to skin this cat, folks. Million different ways. Don't kid yourself. But the most important thing about all of this is setting yourself up with a plan, holding yourself to account, making sure that your objectives are realistic. And then, of course, teaching you tons and tons of stuff in the candy store. So that's what our education program is all about. You got another 5 days to register for this upcoming term. You'll notice that we did not raise our prices. That won't stay the same, folks. So just be forewarned. Don't be surprised in the next 6-8 months that price goes up. But we're trying to keep the prices down as much as possible. We don't really want to feed into that hyperinflation. But it's getting crazy out there, folks. Like $1,000 just isn't even that much money anymore, which is such a sad thing. So, see if you can take advantage of this. And then, of course, the whole point of this exercise is I want you to do well. Lots and lots of free content on the YouTube page. I mean, hell, you can spend literally hours, maybe even days, just going through all of this free content. And actually, we have a pretty consistent following here. Yeah, usually generally in the high hundreds, low thousands. And also, too, we've had that really fun experiment that the boys are doing recently. Just sort of clipping out little pieces of my long rants to just really sort of highlight some really cool concepts that I sort of talk to the audience through the day. And these have been received really, really well from the public. So the channel itself is an incredibly valuable resource. So
we have the free trial on the site, don't we?
I beg your pardon?
The free trial on the site still?
That's right. Well, we have all these fun little tools,
$0
things like
cost.
breadth and our signaling systems and stuff. And of course, we have a really awesome lounge that is really active. I showed you, lots of posts from people even while we're doing these videos. And we have like daily briefs, which we call them, on the site. There's probably, I don't know, maybe 10, 20,000 hours of free videos on the site. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on about all the daily videos that we do. And we offer a 30-day trial. So you can come on the site. If after you've watched the YouTube channel and you're kind of like, okay, I want to take this next level and get to know these guys a little bit better, maybe hang out in the lounge with them, get to know guys like Sharktoshi and Paul, and maybe kick the tires a little bit about all the different products and services that we offer. Feel free to come on and take advantage of that 30-day
I heard the
trial.
TAs are pretty tall, dark, and handsome as well. Is that true?
I have met you in person. I'm gonna say
I was just trying to build up our TA staff, Ray included. Ray, Murat,
you guys are awesome. You're the best.
Police,
Are
officer
these?
of the law.
Are
He is
these
tall, dark, and handsome, isn't he?
Okay, you keep talking. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just trying to give Murat a compliment. That's all.
Murat, yes, another awesome TA. But the irony of it all is that if we tall, I don't think any of our instructors are actually tall, though, are they?
No,
Grimm's kind of a short guy.
I'm 5'11".
You're 5'11"?
5'11", yeah.
That's where you come in.
Unfortunately.
All right. What I am going to say is been exceptionally privileged that, I constantly do the PMA message and all that. And I honestly think in this universe, what ends up happening is you just attract sort of similar people along those veins. So the people that come to TRI, they may not be the handsomest because, you all see me. I'm uglier than poop. So I can understand I don't attract, GQ types. But these people are so nice. They're good. They're souls. I used to tell people, especially after my wife passed, that I could sort of see people's auras. I think that's one of the gifts that I was sort of given through that traumatic experience. And I remember sitting at... do you remember us sitting at In-N-Out Burger? And
I do.
And just sitting...
Yeah, you were barking about the fucking $10 burger.
Well, at least Brian's consistent.
100%.
But I remember just sitting there at the table with these guys, and these guys' auras were just so powerful. And I love that about you people. I'm actually exceedingly privileged to be able to hang out with all of you. You're one of the nicest, most genuine, sweetest persons I have met in my life, Josh. And that comes from the heart. You're an absolutely beautiful.
And that is what makes TRI different. Is there's consistency. There's confluence with that, right? A lot of people that stick around.
Yeah.
I think you could say that about a lot of people that stick around. which it's rare, especially in the landscape today.
Yeah, yeah. If anything, yeah. I think I'll just leave it at that. You guys you're just the best. You really are. And really, our level 1 students, man, they're so privileged to have a guy like Grim. Because Grim, you can now see it in him. Just the way he acts and the way he talks. I mean, he knows his shit. And it's really kind of silly to argue with him. And it's, of course, everything that we teach. It's just basic common sense. And the way that the instructors like Kiran, he knows his shit backwards. In fact, he runs his own sort of advisory service now. He's so good. You guys just know your shit, and the confidence just really shows, and it's beautiful to watch. So, okay, I think we'll leave it at that. Paul, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, just from a trader perspective, manage your risk.
Yeah.
And just treat trading like a business.
All right.
From my perspective.
Sounds good. We had one gentleman who asked us to manage his money recently, and actually 3 or 4 of us in the management team, for some reason, we were talking to this guy in the room, and we're just like, dude, just do it. Don't ask us to do it. Just do it. Get in there and just do it.
Yep.
All of the tools are laid out at TRI. All of the supports, all of the things that you need to run your small business. They're here. You just got to do it. And nobody said this was easy. Like 95% of the population cannot do this job. But if you want to do this job, we are here to help you. But you have to do it. Just do it. So
yeah, it's not easy, but
yeah, I'm so proud of you, Paul.
It's nice job.
You do a great job of just doing it. It's really cool.
Yeah, Paul's been over the last couple of years a demonstrator of best practices and stick with itness. He just put his head down and grind through it, and yeah.
All right. Okay, why don't we leave it at that? Thank you so much, gentlemen. You're totally awesome. Only thing left, of course, for us to say tonight is a hearty goodbye, and I think I'm going to ask Mr. Sharktoshi to take us on out of here. So, with all things said, PMA for the win. Remember what your number 1 job is. Don't take no wooden nickels. And the only thing left for us to say tonight is...
Schlom gefold.